Welcome to the AutoTune Overview tutorial. In this tutorial, we'll go over what AutoTune is, as well as its features and functions. Before we get into it, here's a quick history lesson for the new AutoTune user. In 1997, Antares Audio Technologies introduced the groundbreaking AutoTune pitch correcting plugin. AutoTune was a tool that actually corrected the pitch of vocals and other solo instruments in real time without distortion or artifacts, while still preserving all of the expressive nuance that the original performance had. AutoTune held rave reviews from the pro audio industry, and Antares has been making advances in their technology ever since. AutoTune has established itself as the worldwide standard in professional pitch correction, and it is used daily by thousands of audio professionals to save studio and editing time, ease the frustration of endless retakes, save that otherwise once-in-a-lifetime performance, or even to create unique special effects. Okay, enough history. Let's look at the plugin. This is the AutoTune user interface. Starting in the top left corner, we have the input type selector. This is a very important feature when using AutoTune. Antares has spent a lot of time researching the characteristics of the different voice ranges and has developed specific algorithms for each. So when using AutoTune, start here and choose the best input type for your material. Otherwise, the results may be less than perfect. Remember, AutoTune is not just for voice. It can be used on any monophonic instrument that has pitch, and it can even be used on bass instruments. Again, make sure you pick the right input type for the material you are processing. If you aren't getting the results you want, try another input type and see if it helps. Next are the correction mode selectors. Use these to enter either into auto or graphical modes. Automatic mode is the easy mode. It works by continuously tracking the pitch of an input sound, and then it compares it to a user-defined scale and makes its corrections as needed. This mode is best used when you want a quick pitch fix for your track, and it works well in most situations. Just select your input type, set your key, select a scale, and then you're on your way to a pitch-perfect track. Let's take a quick listen.
Our love is so heavy, but that's the price that you pay.
There are, of course, many more features available in automatic mode used to fine-tune your results, and we'll cover them in detail in their own tutorials. Clicking the graphic selector will change AutoTune's user interface and display the graphical mode's controls and features. Graphical mode is similar to the auto mode in that it also continuously tracks the pitch of the incoming sound and modifies the output pitch to be closer to a desired pitch. But in graphical mode, the desired pitch is not a predefined scale tone, but rather is a graphical representation of your desired pitch. The key feature of graphical mode is the pitch graph display. On this display, the vertical axis represents pitch with higher notes towards the top, while the horizontal axis represents time. The red curve represents the original pitch contour of the input track, while the desired target pitch or pitch contour is indicated in blue. And the horizontal grid lines represent scale pitches to be used for reference when drawing in anchors or editing curves. The whole idea behind graphical mode is complete precision when correcting pitch. You can really fine-tune the small nuances of a performance and fix even the slightest pitch problems here, all with complete visual feedback. Like automatic mode, there are many features and functions here, which we'll cover in detail in their own tutorials. Next, we have the pitch reference selectors. AutoTune has the ability to pitch correct stereo tracks while still preserving the track's phase coherence. Just click the appropriate button to determine which of the two stereo tracks, meaning the left or right channel, AutoTune will use for a pitch preference. Also, if there is a noticeable difference in the two tracks' sound quality, pick the cleanest, as it will always produce the best results when using AutoTune. It's important to note that AutoTune will only pitch correct true stereo tracks. If the second track, meaning the track not selected as a pitch reference, is simply a separate, unrelated track, unpredictable and potentially unpleasant sounds may result. On the other hand, something cool and interesting might happen. You never know. When AutoTune is instantiated on a mono track, however, the control is inactive and grayed out. Clicking the Options button will open a window containing a number of parameters that fall into the Set and Forget category. The pitch tracking slider determines how AutoTune will respond to the varying income waveform when analyzing. If you're working with a well-isolated solo signal, such as when tracking in a studio or off of a multi-track master, you can typically set the tracking control to 25 and forget it. If, on the other hand, your signal is noisy and not well isolated, such as found in a live performance, or if you're dealing with a particularly breathy or guttural voice, it may be necessary to allow more signal variation with a higher tracking number. If you find that your results are still not great after choosing the correct input type and adjusting the other controls, try experimenting here. Generally, a more relaxed setting will result in more tuning, but may also introduce distortion and/or popping. The buffer size field is used to enter the number of seconds of memory buffer space that are permanently reserved for pitch tracking and pitch correction data while in graphical mode. This is a per plugin instance setting, as there is a separate buffer for each plugin occurrence. To change the buffer size, click in the data field and then enter the required number of seconds. Usually, the only time you'll need to adjust this setting is when you have run out of time when tracking the pitch of your material in graphical mode. The knob control options allow you to select how the knobs in the AutoTune interface will function. Choosing vertical will cause the knobs to respond when the mouse is moved on a vertical axis. Just position your cursor over the knob, press and hold the left mouse button, or the only mouse button if you're using a one-button mouse, and then move the cursor up to turn the knob clockwise, or down to turn the knob counterclockwise. The current value of the knob's parameter appears in its numeric display. Choosing horizontal will cause the knobs to respond when the mouse is moved on a horizontal axis. Just select horizontal, then position the cursor over a knob, press and hold the mouse button, and move the cursor to the right to turn the knob clockwise or to the left to turn the knob counterclockwise. Choosing radial will cause the knobs to respond when the mouse is moved in a circular or radial motion. Just choose radial, then click anywhere around the circumference of the knob, press and hold the mouse button, and then rotate the knob in the desired direction. Keep in mind, these settings only apply to knob controls, and controls that have sliders will not be affected. By default, you have the convenient cursor icons representing the different tools available when working in graphical mode, but sometimes this can cause a problem with some hosts. Deselecting the Use Custom Cursors in Graphical Mode option will disable the different cursor icons when working in graphical mode. You should only uncheck this if you're experiencing your cursor flashing and frequently changing between the custom cursor icon and the standard cursor icon at inappropriate times. AutoTune 5 provides multiple undo and redo capability in graphical mode when editing. You can enter in the maximum allowable number here, up to 20. Choosing a higher number will allocate more memory to AutoTune for saving more moves and intermediate states. Okay, that's it for the options window. Let's close it and go back to the main window. Continuing on, the sample rate display indicates the sample rate of the current audio file as reported to AutoTune by the host application. AutoTune is high sample rate compatible, so if your host application and audio hardware are capable of dealing with up to 192 kHz files, AutoTune will process them correctly. Finally, the instance ID will display the currently viewable AutoTune plugin's instance identification number. Some host applications assign numerical instance IDs to multiple instances of the same plugin. These are particularly useful if you're using any of AutoTune's MIDI functions, as they allow you to be sure that you're routing the MIDI data stream to the correct instance of AutoTune on your desired track. Well, that's it. Now you know what AutoTune is, how it works, and what its main features and functions are. This concludes the tutorial. Thanks for watching.